I've been asked, and Beth has been asked to say a few words about Alan Dawley. Alan was a key figure in the creation of law and in our being together, first in Atlanta and now, first in Boston and now in Atlanta. Alan was a person who could connect the local to the global, from his days editing the Mississippi Free Press in 1964 to his arrests last year in Washington. He combined the local and the global with the then and the now, and serves as a model to us all for what engaged scholarship and activism can mean. And it's our hope that this conference will encourage others to join in the work that he helped sustain and we will continue to build.
Well, unlike Dave, I only knew Alan for a few years on a personal level, but I felt like I'd known him for a lot longer, simply because I'd read his books for so long. I read his first book in graduate school in the late 80s, and since then I'd taught virtually all three of his books in various of my classes, and so I found them inspiring, and I think they leave a rich legacy that I'd encourage all of you to go to and read, in particular as you think about the interaction between popular movements, which he detailed in all of his books, popular movements and elites and those in power. His last book was on the Progressive Era, and I think he was particularly concerned with the legacy that the Progressive Era had left for U.S. foreign policy today. He was concerned on the one hand that progressivism had contributed to that process that we've all been talking about so much of imperial denial, because Woodrow Wilson, he thought, raised imperial denial to a new art form in terms of all interventions being interventions to make the world safe for democracy. So that was the negative side about changing the world as this book was called. The positive side was that the Progressive Era was a time rich in popular movements, popular anti-imperialist movements. And so that book in particular was devoted to exploring the interaction between the popular movements of the Progressive Era and then those policy-making elites. And I think Alan believed that it was particularly important for historians to start a dialogue between popular movements and policy-making elites. And it's in that spirit that I'd just like to read the paragraphs that he had written for this conference. He was supposed to be on not only our labor panel, but the panel on teaching the U.S. History Survey. And I think many of the lessons that he talked about for teaching there could also be applied for activism. So let me read that. And this is straight from Alan's paragraph. The challenge, he said, is to think about U.S. history in imperial terms, in a culture that is not only in imperial denial, but also includes strong anti-imperialist beliefs. If the U.S. is an empire without imperialism, that is, without an ideology that explicitly affirms the right to rule over others, then how do we persuade students and readers to take empire seriously? It is not enough to point to imperial behavior in numerous military and economic interventions. It is also necessary to confront the ways national myths and traditions function as substitute ideologies of empire. The Redeemer mission, paternalism, white supremacy, freedom, democracy, and other deeply held beliefs have served to justify expansion. The task is not merely to expose these imperial accomplices, but also to uncover the cultural and ideological forms of resistance. And this is what I think Alan was so very good at. Freedom and democracy, considered from the bottom up, have also served in the opposite role as cultural resources for anti-imperialism. We must not leave our students and readers, one might say activists as well, intellectually disarmed before the powers that be. Our obligation as teachers and writers is to include resistance as an integral part of the story of empire. In short, and this quote has already been quoted today, but I'll finish Alan's paragraph with it because that's how he finished it. In short, the struggle of people against power, to quote Milan Kundera, is the struggle of memory against forgetting.